So I started my conversation talking about how Owens Corning is going through this cultural change of being customer-centric. Winning with customers is how we language it. And I think that the vision statements, the values, the mission statement, all that works great. It works great in the boardroom. It works great for more senior employees. But what we have introduced here and what this has become for Owens Corning across the last 3 years is a rallying point for the everyday employee that's out in the field with a customer, that's in a lab, that's working on securing 2,500 trucks a day, that helps get their work connected to customers in a very real way. So everybody that works in a corporation wants their work connected to customers. It's just that most don't know how to do it. Most don't have a means to connect their work. What we can bring back and what we have brought back from these interviews is the ability to sit down with any population, any functional area, any process owner, and say, here's what we're hearing from customers. In the logistics arena, we need to engineer into our process more frequent deliveries with a lower minimum order quantity. That is important to our customers, and they've told us that'll help create, across all of our customers, $20 million of value. So how do we do that? How would we come up with a statement like that? Christian showed you a slide that was relevant for a customer, whereby we had a stacked bar chart that showed our current value and a stacked bar chart that showed where the customer wanted us to head, that describes the attributes and also describes what it's worth to them. The system that we operate, it's called Render. The system allows us to aggregate all that together such that we can see not just for the $400 million customers, but for $401 million customers, what are the most important things to them? And as we aggregate it all together, we can understand what are the attributes, what are the top attributes that we need to get better at, what specifically within that attribute family are the customers looking for, and how will it improve the value that we create, how will it improve their bottom line. And remember, this is all differential. You've heard us use differential a number of times. This is how are we performing better, differently than the competition. So how can we further distance the performance of our company and the value we create for their business from the competition? This is incredibly powerful. And what this does is allow us to have a fact-based, data-driven conversation, whereby we can be in the room with the president of the business all the way on down, and we can get everybody aligned because here we have data. So think of the power associated for any of your businesses. If the president or the CEO said, what are the top 3 things we need to invest at in order to get better, that you would have an answer to that question that is an answer born out of your customer's words. And we operate this process such that when we have an interview with a customer, we document it, then we put it right back in front of them a week later to say, we just want to make sure we heard you correctly and we captured it correctly. Is this what you are looking for in terms of value creation? So we're not leaving there. We've even eliminated the risk of we may not have heard them correctly. We may have misinterpreted because we asked them to validate how we've captured it. And once we have that data, we can aggregate it together, and it delivers tremendous insights. This informs our strategic planning process. This informs our operations planning process. This informs every single customer's operating plan, 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, because it is a dynamic situation. So now we have, and we've had for the last 3 years, a means to really be able to have a very fact-based conversation. Now, it doesn't begin and end with customer discovery. That's what we call this, customer discovery. Customer discovery informs us in areas that are articulated needs. So, of course, most customers can tell you what they're looking for in terms of the things that will help improve their profitability. Sometimes what they'll tell us is a little nebulous in terms of specifics, especially in the product area. So they can tell you that what other people are doing and the great work they're doing and what they'd like to see us do, but it really isn't necessarily to the point of action. So sometimes we have to fortify these data with other market research that we'll do, some observational research we do, but this is what gets us in the neighborhood. So if you look at Owens Corning today and you look at the investments we're making today, those investments are based on interviews that we did 1 and 2 years ago. Where we have our Science and Technology Center focused is based in the customer insights that we built out of customer discovery 1 and 2 years ago. I can't say enough about this third bullet, connecting all employees to value creation. There's something about a customer service specialist who talks to a handful of customers on a very transactional basis on on a daily basis, and perhaps has done so for 10, 20, even 30 years. But for them to know the value of their work as articulated back to us by the customer, and the one or two things that perhaps the customer would like to see them do differently, if you can talk to somebody about that with that level of specificity and tell them that they're impacting Owens Corning's ability to create value for that customer, it empowers them in ways you can't possibly imagine. Same with the folks that operate logistics, et cetera, et cetera. Connecting our people across the enterprise to value creation gives relevance to everyone's work. And more importantly, it makes sure that we're not wasting our efforts by working on things that customers don't care about. And believe me, our company, and I'm sure many of yours, have worked on plenty of initiatives over the years that our customers could care less about. We thought they'd like it, and then when we roll it out, we're shocked they don't. And then when we roll it out, we look to victimize somebody within Owens Corning that perhaps didn't market it right or sell it right, or, rather than investing the time and effort way up front to make sure that we understand and we validate it. In fact, yes, they do value it. And as I said before, we can in that conversation say how much it's worth and who specifically asked us for it. This is also a very powerful tool as we talk to new customers. And in fact, we started to exercise the customer discovery process with prospective new customers. So if we have a customer that an AS that one of our sales folks has been working on, but we haven't converted, we'll go in there and we'll do an interview. And with that kind of conversation, it's a little different because they can't address how is Owens Corning creating value for you today. But we ask them, what would they like to see from any of their suppliers? Let's compare us against your ideal. What would you like to see? Once again, think about the universe of value. Think about value in the context of your working capital, waste elimination, your revenue, thinking about it, how you run this business. And that's why it's so important that we talk to the general manager, P&L owner. We need to have somebody at the table that understands the financials associated with how they run that business. And you'll hear a ton of different things. And you may be questioning, and I questioned too when I first was experienced to this. Are they really going to tell us? Are they really going to be candid in terms of not only the attributes they're looking for, but even more specifically, and perhaps a little bit more provocative, is how much it's worth? You would be very surprised. We've had, across our experience of 400 or 500 customers, we've had one customer that did not want to have this conversation. Flat didn't want to have it. Apart from that, companies big and small, including our largest customer, have had very candid conversations with us, to the extent to which at times they'll show us their financials. They'll call us over to the other side of their desk so we can look at their computer, so we can see how our product line is performing versus the competition's in their systems. I had one guy, senior executive at a very large customer, say, I'd print this out and give it to you, but I'd get fired. But I will show you. And he pulled us right over. We've had this conversation with small, self-made, family-owned businesses, and we've had it with international businesses. And one thing everybody's interested in is talking about how they can make more money. So if you tee up a conversation, if your boss were to tee up a conversation with you and inform you of the things that would allow you the opportunity to make more money, that would be a very interesting conversation to you. And our customers love to have this conversation as well.